Hi there, this is episode 40 in my series, 100 Casts, in which I shoutcast over 100 games of League of Legends, sent in to me by fans and friends. Check the description if you want your replay to be featured on the series. Hey there guys, Octavian here. This is going to be cast number 40. Big 4-0. I think I'm reaching a mid-cast crisis. I'm sorry, my humor's always bad. Anyways, I forget exactly which player it was who sent me in this replay out of the 10 that we see on the screen here, but they will be mentioned in the description. They will be thanked at the end of the video as well, so don't worry, they'll get their dues.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
We are welcome to the Summoner's Rift. We have 10 players. We have a game about to happen here, and I hope you guys are as excited for the plays as I am. Let's get into some of the matchups while we have the time to. Down in the bottom lane, we have a Jinx and an Annie, I believe. I believe it's an Annie support. I don't really see the Twisted Fate support coming into this game, but we do have a Jinx and an Annie, if I'm correct, versus a Leona and an Ezreal. That is a hefty damage combination in the early game there. Leona and Ezreal. Ezreal can very reliably, well, if he's good with the skill shots, very reliably pop the Leona's passive since he has so many different ways of damaging the enemy. All of his abilities have damage. All of them, and there's Leona flashing forward. Going to be trying to land the stun off the Shield of Daybreak. Nice flash from the Annie. Completely juking out the entire enemy team, but that is flash burned from both supports at a minute and a half into the game here. Purple team trying to pull off an invade, but no, I guess you could call that sort of successful. They got the flash off of the Annie, who's going to be a lot squishier than Leona in lane and rely a lot more on that flash. So maybe it's going to turn out better for the purple team than blue team there, but it's such a small engagement, such a small thing that really I can't call it at this point. As we see, Teemo is the top laner for purple team, and he's sitting up in the top lane. And actually, an invade has been pulled off by blue team here. They expected purple team to go for their red buff, so they're going for the enemy red buff, and there's nobody around to contest them. There were no wards placed out by purple team before they went on for the invade, so they have no idea that happened, and we might actually see the Dr. Mundo get a 3-buff start here. He's not even done in the enemy jungle. If you look on the mini-map right now, he's over at the Wraith camp. He's going to take that. He's going to counter jungle this Fiddle out pretty heavily. Already taken one of his buffs, going for the Wraith camp as well. It's going to be difficult for this Fiddle to hit level 3 in a timely fashion, and his level 3 gank isn't even that strong anyways, so hitting it late is going to be very hard. As we swap back over to mid lane where a bomb is taken on SweetBunny's head, and my memory comes back to me now. It is actually SweetBunny who sent in the replay, the Twisted Fate playing the mid lane, so many thanks to him or her, and we can get back to the action though right away here. Down in bottom lane, the Annie, notwithstanding the lack of a flash, has managed to push up the lane fairly well. Can do that a bit better than Leona can just because of her range and the fact she has AoE abilities. Stun goes out onto Leona, Zap follows up, and an Incinerate as well. Some good damage onto the enemy support there from the blue side bottom lane. Annie's just throwing out tons of harass here, as in the middle lane we see a little bit of an engagement going on. SweetBunny coming out the worst for wear there after the ticking time bomb does its work. But, to be fair, the Twisted Fate Zilean matchup, while they both have decent range and decent poke, the Twisted Fate has an infinite source of mana with that blue card, provided enough time to use it over and over again, so he's going to be able to throw out his harass a lot more consistently than the Zilean will. And Mundo going to find his own red buff, looking for that 3-buff start, but isn't really able to get it. As Fiddlesticks did pull off a bit of a late invade onto the red buff, took it for himself, but Twisted Fate is moving around. Meanwhile, down in bottom lane, the stun lands onto the Ezreal, but the zap doesn't connect. A minion in the way to block that, as now Fiddle's in dangerous waters here. But Mundo's very, very low on health and doesn't really want this fight, so he's going to back up, as does the Fiddle, and all of that tension resolves into simply walking away from both teams. Something interesting that, looking down at the bottom lane, we should note, this Jinx doesn't have a flash. She's going with Ghost and Heal, so that's going to be very important later on. The stun landing onto Annie, some good damage. First blood going over to Leona, and there is all that damage I was talking about with that combo. The Ignite is taking down onto Ezreal, but it's not going to be enough. Annie not picking up the post-mortem kill. First blood goes over to, ooh, nice zap. Heals with the speed buff, but can't quite catch up. Goes in the rocket form, tries to land them, but Leona's doing a great job of peeling, and that is 2 kills for the Leona down in bottom lane. Well played by Purple Team. Ezreal playing the bait game. Knew that Jinx really wanted that kill, but he did have his heal up, so he saved it to the last second. Made sure that the long-range rockets after that zap didn't quite bring him down, and then Jinx was way too caught out of position, didn't have the flash to get away from Leona quickly. Ghost wasn't really quite enough, and the shield from Leona, that popping damage off of her W, was enough to bring down the Jinx. So well played by Purple Team, picking up the first 2 kills of the game, both onto the support Leona though. So that is a little bit of a downside. You don't really want all the kills onto your support, but hey, she's going to get real tanky. She's already finished off that Sightstone. She's got the boots as well for more difficult to avoid engagements. And Zed, there was a Teemo in that bush the whole time. You should have known it, man. If the Teemo walks into the bush and stands still for a while, the Teemo's going to still be there. Until you see the Teemo leave the bush, assume the Teemo is in the bush. That is how Teemo works. He sits in one place, goes invisible, and then annoys you a little bit later, and Annie, you are way too got out of position. Ooh, damage coming out from that Leona there. When she gets a level advantage, that passive can do so much work, provided that her ally, of course, pops it as often as possible. But this Ezreal's been doing a great job of that. Picks up another kill, and here's the Zenith Blade coming in, Shield of Daybreak for the stun, but the Flame Chomper's thankfully going to be enough to deter the Leona from continuing the dive under the turret. But Jinx is at half health. Jinx doesn't have any summoners. And they're pushing up onto the tower here. They might go for the dive, or just some damage on the turret. Shield of Daybreak was using the turret there, and without that cooldown, I really don't think they can go for a dive. Oh, Zed knows where the Teemo is, it seems. Yeah, he's gonna walk away, dropping a mushroom behind him. And Zed actually doesn't quite have level 6 yet, whereas Teemo does. So that's a small advantage for him. But actually, no, he just hit level 6 now, so that advantage has dissipated. There's a small window in which Teemo had mushrooms, and Zed could not ult him. But thankfully for Zed, that passed. And after the first few backs from the first few lanes to go back here, we do have some items on the board. But speaking of Zed ult, he's gone in. The death mark is on Get Dominated, and the 2-inch flash not going to be effective. I'm sorry, Teemo. He goes down, and here's Annie getting engaged upon, stunned up. Flame Chompers are going to hold Leona in place, but it's not going to be enough CC, not going to be enough prevention. Ezreal picking up another kill, and that is 4 kills for the bottom lane, and Mundo, can you escape? He pops the ghost, he manages to break the tether just in time, he is running, and Zilean, there's a Mundo with 2 health in the jungle right up there, go get him, but he doesn't want to, and Mundo manages to escape. Zilean instead choosing to lay down some harass onto the Twisted Fate, perhaps just didn't look at his minimap at just the right moment to see the Mundo there and the Solar Flare coming out. Only the edge of it lands though, doesn't quite get the stun, so Leona backs right up after that. Doesn't want to tower dive without the reliability of that centrally placed Solar Flare, which does in fact stun rather than simply slowing. And Jinx is still low on health though. Flame Chomper snare out the Leona. Turns with the stun onto the turret though, looking to do some extra damage. And there's the ulti burn from the Jinx. Ignite is ticking down. Zap lands onto a minion though as Leona flashes away. But hey, that's a flash burned. That's pretty good trade for the Jinx, ulti for a flash. Though I suppose the Annie's Ignite was also used out there. It was burned, you might say. One of my worst jokes yet, and that's an accomplishment, honestly. That is an accomplishment. Number 40. Worst joke so far on cast number 40. We're accomplishing things. That walks right into a mushroom, gets blinded, taking a bunch of damage from the Teemo, throws back some shurikens, has to flash away though. That is so annoying. Just from nothing comes Mushroom and Teemo. But anyway, here's Fiddlesticks going for his first gank of the game. Goes in with the Crow Storm and instantly gets the kill on a Jinx. And Annie, you've got nowhere to go. Tragedy picking up that kill, and it is a tragedy indeed. A young girl dying like that, but she's kind of evil. She kind of deserved it a little bit. Ooh, the wild card's doing a bunch of damage onto the Zilean. Isle Dog brought down real low. SweetBunny maybe looking for the engage here. Doesn't have... No, he does have flash up. Doesn't really want to use it because, you know, the Zilean can always ult himself if he does that at the right time. And, ooh, very good awareness by the Mundo there to place that ward. Realize that Fiddlesticks had the cooldown on his red buff, had that timer. And so would know when he would be back up and might be there again waiting for him. So he brought a ward along. Brought a trusty sight ward just to make sure that Fiddlesticks couldn't actually steal the buff away again, and no, he gets slowed by the zap. The cleavers are landing, he drops the fear into Mundo, but the Flame Chompers are already there! Super Mega Death Rocket executing him, bringing down the Scarecrow. Giving the kill over to Jinx. First kill of the game for her. That's certainly going to be nice. I think that she also gets some buffs out of that if the Fiddlesticks had one or two. I don't quite recall. We will have the camera pan down to her at some point, though, I'm sure. We'll get to see whether or not she's got some of those delicious buffs. Ooh, Ezreal, ulti, going across, nearly bringing down Zed. Sadly, Teemo was not quite close enough to shoot out one of his blinding darts and capitalize on that extra damage. Zed's just going to go back to base, but that is Ezreal ulti burned. To be fair, the cooldown is not very long, and Zed, why are you not... Okay. This might be bad here for Zed if Teemo chooses to go for the tower dive, though. To be fair, Zed is rather tricky to tower dive. Bit of a tricky proposition, especially for somebody as lacking in instant mobility as a Teemo. He has decent mobility with his speed buff, but he does not have any instant mobility. Nothing like a Zed Shadow Swap or the Arcane Shift from the Ezreal, something like that. If you catch my drift there, it makes the difference in tower dives between just getting a flat speed buff or getting that instant escape out of the range of the turret. And Teemo's going to wait in the bush again. We've seen this strategy pulled off by Get Dominated 2 or 3 times so far this game. Once, to pretty great effect, bringing down the kill. Giving him his first kill of the game up there in top. Wait, no, he doesn't have a kill. Why do I think that Teemo killed Zed? I'm not sure why I think that. Apparently, I'm imagining things. Solar Flare whiffs. I mean, unless you count minions, but I really don't. Zenith Blade landing onto the Annie, though they're still going for this. The fear and the amount of CC from this Fiddlesticks and Leona combo is just way too much for Annie to handle. She goes down. But you know what? Even though they're 7-2 in kills, Purple Team's only about 400 gold ahead. Nice zap onto Baby Brimstone. The TF is under fire, though. Flashes away from the Ezreal ult, and there's Crowstorm. Lands onto the Mundo, but turn around from the Jinx. Double kill so far. Trying to get after the Ezreal, the zap, and the Cleaver land. He is slowed up. Forced to flash away. Red buff Cleaver. He's still slowed. He just can't escape from these slows. He has another Arcane Shift up. The red buff is burning, but it's not quite enough. Ghost burned by the Jinx. Cleaver lands. Shut down for Mundo, and here's Zilean off to the side. Can he catch him? Mundo did run up rather than to the side like Zilean might have expected. He has Ghost. He might be able to escape here. Does the Mundo live? Mundo lives. He manages to escape. Well played by him. Realizing that Zilean had roamed down out of the middle lane, didn't go the obvious path, chose to go a slightly altered path, and juked out the Zilean. Burned his Ghost in the process, but that's better than dying. That's certainly better than getting up 300 gold over to the Zilean. He's going to take his Wraith Camp, just for good measure, you know. Before going back to base, got to clear that out, make sure that he has the maximum in terms of gold in his pocket. And this Mundo actually doing quite well, despite losing his red buff early to the Fiddle. Though in fact, he didn't trade out red buff, so it's really not that much of a loss. Zenith Blade landing onto the Annie, Shield of Daybreak as well, and the Eclipse is going to pop. But there's nobody around to take advantage of these Leona passives, so it's just a trade, albeit quite a nice trade for the Leona. Annie down at half health, and Annie's really having a tough time of it down in the bottom lane here. Leona getting those early 2 kills have just shut this Annie out of the lane. She is 0-5 and struggling to stay in this match. Zap doesn't quite land, goes a little bit wide as Zenith Blade doesn't land either, but she just walks right up, and the passes are getting procced this time. The Ignite burns, Ezreal ult comes across, as now Leona's going under the tower, but perhaps that's not the best idea. Turn around from Jinx, lots of damage. Ezreal shifts into the tower, but there's heal! Double kill for Jinx, and while Annie may not be doing the best, Jinx is certainly more than making up for it in the bottom lane. She is 5-2, coming out from having a bit of a behind support, but still showing how much power that Jinx AD carry can bring, especially during a tower dive. The amount of surprising burst that she has can really, well, surprise enemies and lead to botched tower dives like we just saw from the Leona and the Ezreal. The Arcane Shift forward, rather aggressive there from the Ezreal. He might have been able to still get the kill if he hadn't shifted under that tower, going really ham for it. TF turn around, some really good damage onto Kyle Dog, but he's Zilean, he's got that ulti, so he can afford to take a little bit of poke so long as he times the ulti correctly. In a one-on-one engagement, he can still come out ahead. As Get Dominated is actually not, in fact, getting dominated in the top lane. He's getting pushed in, though, by the Zed, throwing shurikens across the wave. He does have better wave clear than the Teemo, whose really only source of wave clear is those toxic mushrooms that he can leave lying around places, and if he needs to clear the wave, then he doesn't have quite as much safety in the lane. So it's a bit of a trade-off for the Teemo if he wants to have that good wave push. But we might see a gank up top. Both junglers are waiting around there. Fiddlesticks gets spotted out by a ward, though, and Mundo spotted out by a mushroom and the Fiddlesticks. He turns around with the drain and does not care about this Mundo's damage. There's the death mark coming in from the Zed Ignite as well, and dang, that Zed has a lot of damage. Did not expect that. I thought the team was doing a bit better in that matchup, but Zed just had way too much damage, and there is K-Steady bringing down maybe Brimstone. Actually, you know, Zed didn't get an assist on the kill on Fiddlesticks, and Mundo didn't get an assist on the kill on Teemo. It was like two little 1v1s going on next to each other. It wasn't really a gank, counter gank so much as just Mundo and Fiddle having their own little thing in the bush. And we have a Zenith Blade coming in onto the Annie. It's just instantly deleted. Annie, so Zed is having a terrible time of it in the bottom lane. Just really needs to start playing way, way more defensive than has been her wont so far. We might see the second tower of the game falling up in top lane. Mundo and Zed beaten down in that. Zed actually taking a few tower hits, but the tower's still going to be going down here. Another wave shows up. They're able to bring it down. Purple team has lost a turret. That is a 2-0 turret lead for blue team here, and they've evened up the kill score, so they are more than 4,000 gold in the lead, actually, which is pretty impressive for being 15 minutes in. Nice zap onto the Leona. But Ezreal's around. She can't continue chasing that, and there's the Zillion ulti burned out, and SweetBunny is not even low. Wild cards finishing off the kill after he gold cards him just after the revive. 1v1 kill. Twisted Fate bringing down Zillion. Apparently cards beat bombs. We should just start playing poker with all the people across seas that we're fighting. Anyways, I'm not going to get into political humor in a League of Legends shoutcast. That seems a little bit out of place. But you know what isn't out of place? This Fiddlesticks. He's going for a dragon, solo dragon, and there's no vision. That spotted him out. Meowth flashing in onto Smurfmang, trying to bring him down. The Ezreal ult comes across. It does land, but it's not quite enough. The zap goes back into Leona under tower. The ulti comes across too, and that is another kill going into Jinx's pocket. 6, 2, and 1, dominating on the Jinx. And Dragon went down as well. Fiddlesticks being able to solo that one out with all of this huge amounts of sustain he has out of the drain, just allowing him to solo that dragon. Oh, Zed goes in with the death mark, but he's taken so much damage already, and he's blinded. He cannot bring down Teemo. Get dominated, slays him. Zed gets dominated in the top lane there. Teemo now pushing up onto the tower, going to be trying to get back a tower for purple team. They've lost all of their outer towers, each one in every single lane there. So if they can get at least one back here, they'll start to even up the game a little bit more. That dragon as well that Fiddlesticks grabbed earlier did indeed help quite a bit to bring him back into this. They're still 4,000 gold behind though, but they're starting to pull back into the game here. Getting some more of those global objectives. Teemo going to be pushing up another wave into the tower, and probably going to be getting the tower with that wave. I wouldn't be surprised to see that tower fall. Yeah, it's barely got any health left. Little darts. Apparently little darts are very good at taking down towers as well. So many things can bring down towers. The towers in the Summoner's Rift are really not all that sturdy. Tiny little splashes of water from Nami, playing cards. I mean, the amount of things which can bring them down is pretty embarrassing for whoever built those towers. It's pretty shoddy construction work, but on the other hand, they have to rebuild them after every game. They can't really be investing too much time into that. Anyways, I digress. And I want to look at some of the builds right now, actually. Ezreal's just finished off his Trinity Force. That's kind of a big deal. That's going to be a big power spike for him, and he got dominated again, trying to pull off the sit in the bush and go invisible as Teemo strategy. Mundo, why are you on that side of the map? Why? Things seem to be reversed here. Jinx and Mundo are coming around from the top side of the map, and Jinx gets caught. The solar flare, the ulti. So much CC from one person. Leona, why? Jinx does not survive very long in that situation, and Mundo might not survive for very long either, but he is rather tanky, and he can go where he pleases, so he's going to wander away out of the jungle. But Annie might be got out. No, Zillion's not close enough either, but this blue buff, maybe something will happen. I want something to happen, guys. Do something to each other. You've looked at each other a good few times now, staring each other in the face menacingly, but nobody has done anything. Maybe top lane as the blinding dart goes back onto Zed, but nope, no high action there either. But you know what else is interesting? What else aside from high action can get us interested in this game? Some builds. Whoa, Tibbers coming out without the stun. Just doing doing some damage, I suppose. That is a Baron. Again, why is blue team on that side of the map while purple is on the other one? They seem to be having some sort of map swap party, and how is no one engaged yet? How? There were 3 members of blue team deep in the enemy jungle, caught out on the wolf camp there, and they just wandered around each other. Oh, but it looks like, okay, Annie's just gone. Annie didn't even happen to be there, and now the Jinx and the Twisted Fate both cut out with the Solar Flare. Fiddlesticks flashing forward, the Crow giving him the double kill. Well played by Leona and Fiddlesticks. Taking off that fight where they knew they could win it, but it might still be more of an engage here. Zap doesn't quite land, and neither does the Cleaver. So we have a bit of a quieter moment after that fairly one-team fight for purple team. They got a 2-for-1 trade. That's good. Numbers are with them after that, but I was gonna go into the builds, and Leona has actually opted for a Talisman of Ascension. Now that's not such a terribly uncommon pickup, but you will usually see a Leona go a Relic Shield, which is mainly for the lane actually. I personally, and backed up by a few people that I've talked to before, but it seems to me that Relic Shield is a far more powerful item for the laning phase, whereas Talisman of Ascension is a far more powerful item for the late game, especially if you're playing a support like Leona, who wants to engage so often. Basically, that's what Leona is. She's an engage for her team. And so the Talisman of Ascension kind of extends your engagement range. You can engage from, well, you can't really engage from farther away, but you can more easily get into the range from which you can engage because of that whole team speed buff. It's basically the replacement for Shirelia's Rest in Peace. Meow. I'm not realizing he's sending an award. Zap coming across, and maybe, no, not disconnected, just probably typing in chat or something like that, but finally realizes that there's rockets flying at his head, and that's not a good thing that should happen, so he's gonna not be in that place anymore because rockets fly at his head when he's in that place, so he leaves. And something that we should note, the vision control for both teams. Blue team, while behind, actually no, they're ahead in terms of gold. What gave him anything they're behind? I'm not sure what. Evidently it wasn't the scoreboard, but Zenith Blade does not quite connect, but as I was about to say, they do indeed have the lead in terms of vision control, but oh my god, that Jinx damage is really, really up there. Ezreal, not too shabby himself though, flashes forward with the Arcane Shift right after to close the gap. Actually no, his flash is still up. I'm blind. I'm sorry friends, I'm just apparently going blind. You can just call me Lee Sin, I guess. That is a cheap joke. Ooh, Blinding Dart does quite a bit of damage at this point. Looks like Team is going for a bit of a magic penetration build. He's got Stork Shoes and he's got the pieces for hunting guys. So I wouldn't be surprised if he went that route. Blinding Dart has pretty good base damage, and so do the mushrooms, so building magic penetration can certainly make Teemo a bit of a monster in terms of magic damage. And also, Haunting Guys turns into Leander's Torment, which is just perfectly synergized to Teemo's kit, making him the maximum amount of annoying. Because the mushroom's already slow, and to have a dot, so why not get more dots that also work better when they're slowed, because that is the best way to play your Teemo. And down in bottom lane, we have a push going on by Ezreal and Leona under the tower, which is nearly dead. Solar Flare lands onto the Jinx and the Annie. The Zenith Blade follows up. The stun is there. The Flame Jumper's not really doing very much to save Jinx there. Tragedy is on a killing spree. Ooh, the Shirelia's used, or rather Talisman of Ascension. I'm sorry, I'm still stuck in Season 3. Mundo trying to come in for the counter gank, gets feared, but meanwhile SweetBunny's coming in. He's got his ult, he's gonna pour it in. Tragedy, oh my god, he Arcane Shift right as the stun line so he doesn't get hit by the wild cards. And SweetBunny doesn't realize, so he doesn't keep chasing, but he does get maybe Brimstone on that Fiddlesticks. And now Mundo, he has Ghost running. You do not escape the Mundo. One cleaver misses. Can he land the next one? He'll have it up. The next cleaver misses. Tragedy might be able to escape here. K-Stead, he misses. No, it lands, but it's not quite enough. He had a health pot running. He regenerated enough health. And now K-Stead is cut out of position. Leona trying to do a 1v1, but he's got so much health. He's burning down Leona. He might be able to get that kill. Leona has the Zillion ulti though, and Zillion has shown up, and he, oh my god, this Mundo is having the worst time of his life. Tragedy on a ramp. Shut down! I'm sorry. There's just some things. There are some things you cannot hold your composure for. That Jinx ulti was so perfect. Just everything that happened. The Ezreal perfectly kiting around, getting his health potion running just in time to survive the cleaver, and then suddenly smiley face, and he's gone. But I can regain control of myself now. I'm sorry, we can get back into the action here where we have a fear landing onto the Zed, and Fiddlesticks might actually bit off a bit more than he could chew. There's a red buff on that Jinx, but Teemo has shown up, the blinding dart. Jinx popping goes to try and escape from this. The Talisman of Ascension bursting out for that speed buff. Get dominated, though, deals quite enough damage to bring down the Jinx. And there's a bomb taking the Leona ulti, lands, and the bomb... Annie, walk away from the Zed! Annie, don't bring... Okay, she didn't bring the bomb next to the Zed, thankfully. Or maybe the Zed swapped away, I'm not sure. But Annie was walking right next to the very low health Zed with a time bomb on her head. That's something you should not do. Just not do. And I'm sorry if you heard a robot lady talking in the background. That was Mumble. I accidentally left it open, and it reads text if it's put into the chat. And I apologize for that. We are going to get back into the game, though, where a tower is falling. Actually giving the lead in terms of turrets over to Purple Team, who were not so long ago behind by 3. So coming back into this game pretty big time here. 100 gold ahead, which admittedly isn't a huge lead, but considering they were 4,000 gold behind, that's a long way back to winning this game. Still got a bit of ways to go, but they're on the right track. As maybe Brimstone is again starting off that dragon. He's the rest of his team here this time, though. Doesn't have to solo it. He has friends. He doesn't need to do it alone, Fiddlesticks. Purple Team has slain the dragon, extending their gold lead up to about 1,000. Well done by them. Annie, you're a bit late to the party. Not really able to find anything of worth there as Zap lands, but Jinx not really able to follow that up with anything. Zed, though, is up in the top lane, and he is split pushing out that wave, so Purple Team doesn't send something to deal with him soon. He might be able to get some good damage onto the inner turret, but it looks like Teemo is rushing back to the front, rushing back to the battle in the top lane, going to be defending that out pretty well, actually. A lot of pings coming out as well. Maybe Brimstone going to be ganking up in top lane. I like this Zed's name. The person behind you. I don't know if maybe there just wasn't space to finish off the phrase, or maybe he prefers just to let them imagine what the rest of the sentence could be. Maybe he's the person behind Yasuo. Maybe he's the person behind Yale. I don't know. Probably the person behind you, though. See, Zed is a ninja. He's a ninja. He gets behind you and kills you. Anyways, I got off a little bit off track there. We'll get back to the game proper, and back to the builds, which I haven't given enough mention to recently. Twisted Fate going for the old-style TF build with that Lichbane into Azonias, that the Morellonomicon is a bit different. I suppose it's to deal with the Fiddlesticks of the enemy team. Really good item for shutting down the Fiddlesticks. Cuts his healing in half, giving him that grievous wounds debuff when he's below 40% or 45%. Actually, I think it's 45% health. So the tricky thing, though, is going to be getting him down to below 45% health. That's a tricky proposition against a Fiddlesticks most of the time. Speaking of Fiddlesticks, he's joining the rest of his team down here in bottom lane, aside from the Teemo, who of course is up in top lane. That's where Teemos live. And they're going to be pushing, but Twisted Fate, Jinx, and Mundo are all up in the middle lane, and as I said, Twisted Fate does have that Lichbane, and I mean, Jinx is Jinx. They can bring down turrets very quickly, maybe even as quickly as the 4-man matchup, and is this going to be a base race? Oh, please. I would love it to be a base race. Keep going, guys. Don't turn around. Don't turn back now. Blue team pushing with 3 members in the middle lane. We have 4 members in bottom lane. However, the remaining 2 from blue team have roamed down to the bottom lane. There's the Zillion ulti going to be popping onto the Fiddlesticks, just as the Zed does as well. And Teemo goes down nearly instantly after coming to try and defend. 2, 1, person behind you goes down. Kyle Dodd bringing him down, but his team is making it worth. They're on the Nexus turrets, and Purple Team hasn't even finished off an inhibitor. They need to go back now. Fiddlesticks coming in with a Crow Storm, but he gets zapped. Can they kite this out? It's a 3v1, the heal, burn, and Fiddlesticks has the Grievous Wounds passive. He goes down. Jinx, oh, not even necessary. SweetBunny's on a killing spree, and Blue Team's gonna pull out the victory here. Purple Team cannot get back in time. GG at 30 minutes in. I did not expect this game to end this way, but it was fun. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you all tomorrow. Hey there, guys. Thanks for watching. If you'd like your replay to be featured in the series, just check the description. You can figure out how to do that down there. Many thanks to SweetBunny for the use of his replay. Anyways, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you all tomorrow.